Most of the world considers this is a normal family eating dinner. However, this is not a normal happy family, as they seem happy a deep broken family lies underneath. Just 1 year earlier, the family had to choose between paying a heavy penalty or aborting for a baby. The one-child policy is a family planning policy that was once implemented in the People's Republic of China, starting in 1979, with the reform and opening up of the country stipulating that the urban population of mainland China could only have one child, and that the birth of second child would require approval of fine if a second child was born in violation of the regulations. Exceptions to this rule are the agriculture population, ethnic minorities, or couples who are both only children. This policy lasted up until 2016, 7 years ago, until it was replaced with a second child policy.
分开一胎也好，分开二胎也好，分该复健的还是复健，该抓手术的还是抓手术。这个该统计的还是要统计，该去调查的还是要去调查。是在给自己找借口，找存在的理由，找了这个部门存在的理由，找了这个政策的立脚点。等于是说还不肯放弃这个完全放弃这个生育控制，总找个理由啊，就讲工作量反而增加了，怎么可能？他需要这种手段、这种方法、这个政策去控制人口。
The one-child nation have very strict law. This law was put in replace to stop the rapid growth of the population and help the economy not get overwhelmed. This law did have pros and cons. The economy and population decreased and the government prevented 400 million births. However, this has some consequences. While the difference of gender at birth has been decreasing in the country over the past decade, China still boasts the world's most skewed sex ratio at birth at around 110 males born for every 100 females as of 2021. That means there are about 34 million more men in country than women. The imbalance likely came from the country's traditional preference for male children to continue the family lineage, in combination with the population control policies in force. This also had a hard impact on families and their morale, choosing between aborting a baby just because of their gender or keeping it and watching their lineage disappear. However, some had the option of paying penalty and suffering the consequences. The penalty during the 1980s, the largest penalty of a second child was about 2,000 yuan or around $540.
不给吃不给喝，计生办放出话来就说拿钱放人，生了你准备好钱就行，但是实在是家里负担不起，要罚10万块钱。
Now, the highest single fine of an actual child is 1 million yuan, is about $164,000. Although some families are willing to pay this. For example, filmmaker Zhang Yimou and his wife were fined 7.4 million yuan for having 3 children in 2013. This then led to mandatory sterilization in 1983, which occurred after the birth of second or third child. This also led to if having more than one child, you had status and wealth. Even if the families wanted to have more than one child and having a home birth, the child would not have any rights or citizenship. Later, the restriction tightened a few years later. If a woman gave birth to 2 children, legally she had to be sterilized.
Xia was 35. Today she appears 10 years older. The tubal ligation left her crippled. She suffers from pelvic congestion syndrome and infections, all complications from the surgery.
那这个结扎的时候出现了问题，磕我的这个输卵管的时候找了有1个多小时，磕我的输卵管的时候磕到我的脸上都青了。病的事就是叫个护士跟我说，老师跟我说话说呢，相当于你不要睡觉，不要闭眼睛，就怕万一会出现什么。
Also, under the policy, those with more than 2 children will not be able to get government jobs or avail benefits like government housing or contest local body elections. It's as if the second or third child didn't matter to the government and had to disadvantage in life.
Nanfu Wang, born in the one-child policy, decided to interview her child's midwife, and she had this to say.
One of the people I interviewed was the midwife who delivered all of the babies born in my village, including myself. She was 84 years old when I interviewed her. I asked her, Do you remember how many babies you delivered throughout your career? She didn't have a number for deliveries. She said she had performed 60,000 forced abortions and sterilizations.
60,000 abortions and sterilizations in just one village. The midwife had so much guilt she had almost killed herself. However, she stayed strong, and now she helps women in her village with fertility and having babies. Companies in China called family planning offices often sought out to find women that birthed 2 children and forced them to be sterilized. These offices were very strict and abusive. Many women hide in fear and do not want to talk about their interactions as they fear they will come back.
到了计生委的，就是这样说，硬绳子绑着绑回去上手术台。那他们这样一说，那就是我就是他们这样一说，我就靠到我的头就靠到墙壁上，他就说今天怎么，今天你呢，你只要今天抓到了你就肯定跑不掉了。今天你死你也得挨这刀子，你撞墙死都可以，反正今天你就跑不到这一刀子，就是这样。
The Chinese government tried to censor and hide any trace of these family planning offices' abuse. Very few videos exist of their abuse, but here's one.
妇女多半就是说在查到这个妇女出现这类超生现象，那么需要揪她回计生办去罚款，或到服务站去进行结扎手术。
Another woman spoke out and said she was 8 months pregnant with her baby when the family planning came and forced her to have an abortion.
There were many men surrounding my wife. They held her arms behind her back, pushed her head against the wall, kicked her stomach, and I don't know if they were trying to give her a miscarriage right there and then.
The police locked her up here and gave her unborn baby a lethal injection. What you're looking at now is Xiao Aiying with a dead fetus still inside her.
Another woman was forced to have an abortion at 3 months. She regretted every moment and was incredibly guilty for not fighting back. She then said this.
挺傻的，因为我流产的时候我感觉就在那个医院里，一天得成百上千个流产的。连那个打扫卫生的阿姨都说，真是丧良心，真的是那个小孩都不知道怎么处理的。
This alone is incredibly sad, and that common people every day had to deal with it is even sadder without having a choice.
These families and children born in the one-child policy were forever burdened with the gruesome fact of the one-child policy. So did the pros really weigh out of the cons that much?